Good morning. This is Bill from Auto Europa, Naples, on a humid, insect-laden Florida morning. I mean, it's just nasty down here. It's like war in the jungle. There's all these horrible little bugs that fly in and out of your ear. They dive bomb you. There's just enough humidity in the air to slice it. This is not the time to be in Southwest Florida. But I am quite happy to be here because I do have what is inarguably, if not my favorite car, certainly in the top 3, and certainly one of the top 5 most insane vehicles of all time. This is a 2014 Cadillac CTS-V Wagon. It has basically everything that I love in a vehicle. It really does. It's like Cadillac just went and tailor-made this thing for me. Number 1, it's a Cadillac, so it's got that going for it. Number 2, it's a station wagon. Number 3, it has a GM LSA motor straight out of the Z28, the ZL1 actually, in 2014, with 556 official horsepower, 550 foot-pounds of torque. And it's a manual transmission car, so I am basically in car heaven. I mean, this thing is the answer to the question nobody asked, and thank God they did. You really have to hand it to Cadillac on this one. They only made about 2,000 or so V-Wagons from 09 through 14. This is the second generation V. And of those, only about 553 or so were manual transmissions. So this thing is a bit of a rare bird. You're more likely to see a, Bizzarini driving around than one of these things. They're just not out there. And with good reason, because who the hell wants a 556 horsepower station wagon? I mean, you got to go to the grocery store and get a loaf of bread, but you need to do it really fast, or you're late for that hockey game, so you got to do a quarter mile time of 12:3 just to get there, and that is the beauty of it. Some nut job at Cadillac, saw the success of the coupes and the sedans and said, hey, let's throw a few of these things in the wagons. And they did, to their credit, and here it is. The V is, Cadillac's high-performance version. It was built to compete with the, the big German stuff, the BMW M's, the Mercedes AMG. And man, take it to them, they did. The V was a bit of an institution, a bit of a revelation when it came out. Fast as hell. It ripped up, back in 09, it set the Nuremberg speed record for a sedan until eventually a Panamera Turbo overtook it. But it was astounding, this car. It's based on the Sigma 2 platform, one of GM's, more sporting sedan platforms. I believe it was an Australian Opel or something. Maybe I'm thinking of an earlier version. Look at those big pipes out the back, the incredible angular lines. I mean, this thing is unmistakably Cadillac. The Europeans couldn't build anything that looks like this, and the Japanese just wouldn't dare. It is so unique and interesting. And just like they threw the protractor away when they made it. It's got, what do they, Cadillac calls it art and science. When Cadillac decided to euthanize, I know that's not the correct term, but, bring youth into their lineup, they, really did some amazing stuff. It's a shame they didn't do it a couple of decades earlier, because they'd be much further ahead than they are right now. But man, the first CTS-V came out. It had a Corvette Z06 motor in it, manual gearbox only, and people said, what the hell kind of Cadillac is this? I mean, we're all used to seeing big pale yellow sedan DeVilles with pencil-thin steering wheels, wire wheel covers, and all of a sudden somebody's saying, hey, I want my Cadillac with, 400 plus horsepower, and go ahead and tune it at the Nürburgring. So, whoever got behind the wheel at Cadillac really didn't like Cadillacs very much, and changed them into an image that every car guy in the world can be happy about. And this, to me, is the ultimate incarnation of that. The CTS-V Wagon, which is just completely insane. Look at those 15-inch brake rotors, the Brembos. You can't really call this thing a sleeper or Q-ship. I mean, Q-ships don't have yellow brake calipers. So, you do know there's something sinister coming this way. And I think that's fine, too. even though for the most part it's kind of invisible to the police. I mean, car guys instantly see what this thing is. It'd be interesting to know what the man on the street thought. Anyway, 15-inch calipers behind the big, what the hell are those, 20-inch wheels on this thing? Gotta be. Pilot Sports. You know, I hate it when you can't read the size. Those are 19s up front. Anyway, 15-inch cals. You see the V logo in the side. 14.7-inch calipers in the back. Brings this 4,300-pound wagon down to a stop. You know, basically the same as a Z28 and many other sports cars. And it gives you this. A good portion of cargo space, rear seats that fold down. I mean, you got to go to Home Depot and get some bags of cement or, you know, the lighting fixtures. You're going to be able to stuff them in there. You can throw some kids or babies here in the back and hope they don't make it over the rear of the seat. Underneath here, you got a whole other storage compartment. Fantastic place for an AK with a folding stock. Underneath that thing is what could have been a spare tire well if this thing came with one. It didn't. So it is a Bose subwoofer under there. Everything neat, tidy in this one owner low mileage car out in Naples. And you know, it was very interesting to meet a guy who would go out and buy this thing. You know, who is this guy? Who goes and spends this kind of money on a 550 plus horsepower Cadillac? And I can tell you, he's a pretty interesting cat. Have a look under the hood. Okay, so this is absolutely magical. There it is. This is an LSA pushrod motor, LS of course, 4-screw supercharger. Because it's a pushrod guy with the cam in the middle of the engine, they can pack a lot of displacement and a lot of power into a smaller space. They have a much smaller footprint than the overhead cam engines. So I want to say this is what, 6.2 liter, but takes up, you know, not a ton. If this was a 6.2 overhead cam motor, it'd be coming out to the fenders. You see the lovely little tower brace on top. All very simple. Love the supercharged logo down the side. It is a beautifully designed, beautifully engineered motor designed to give you absolute maximum impact, you know, while still being pretty refined. And that's one thing people don't realize about this car. I mean, it is a 9-pound hammer. I mean, it is brutal, brutal car. But if you want to drive it in a refined manner, you can. Anyway, this one goes through, thank God, the 6-speed, what do they call it, the Tremec. Always makes me think of Jeopardy, you know, Alex Trebek. But anyway, the Tremec 6-speed manual gearbox, the correct choice for this car, and into a rear drive 373 rear end, which is just, you know, a mating of the gods. It's just of the gods. Some of these didn't have tin tops. That would have been the, sunroof tops. They were only tin. I'm glad this one has the sunroof. You know, I think once you're getting into like peeling away sunroofs to save weight on your wagon, you're missing the point a little bit. You know, part of the idea of this thing is that it's just an insane Luxo cruiser. You know, and I get the E63 wagon is out there, you know, that $100,000 Mercedes that will actually beat this thing in terms of performance these days. But it's just not the same. There's something so much more cheeky about this car. You kind of expect that stuff from the Germans. Rear seats, lovely, beautiful stitched leather, beautiful Alcantara inserts, everything nice. This guy was retired, so no kids, no dogs. He could have had dogs, but he didn't. Everything nifty back there, no issues at all. Beautiful treatment on the door panels with that midnight burl wood. I can't remember what they call it, but it's beautiful. Very nice fit and finish. Again, maybe not up to the intense quality of the E63, but it was, you know, 35 grand less, so you can't have it all. Very, very nice stuff. Up front, this does have the almost $4,000 Recaro seat option. You see the little stamp there. Every CTS-V should have that. It's a terrific option. They feel lovely, supportive. They are the correct seats to have for driving joy. These are also heated and cooled. You can see nice treatment there on the door panel, again with the swooping plastics, the Bose logo, the windows, your height setting for the tailgate. Just all very nice and proper. You know, not the finest materials in the world, but certainly adequate to the job. Oh, Lord, here we go. I'm telling you, man, it's so difficult for me to sell this car. I mean, when the car that is perfect for you comes in, how the hell do you sell it? Okay, you can see a very simple instrument cluster. Cadillac didn't go overboard. We have another XTS I'm probably going to do tomorrow, and that thing's like the Starship Enterprise, but of course this car was designed before that. I don't know who's sitting in here. They must have been 3 inches tall. I mean, I'm short and I'm sitting up too high. All right, there we go. So, lovely sports steering wheel, Alcantara, nice to the touch. You got little bumpies at the 10 and 2. You got multifunction stuff on it. You got a V logo there on the bottom, all very nice. You've got your tach, your 200 mile an hour speedo, your water temp, your fuel, and a little boost gauge there on the bottom, which is fun to watch. Over here, your headlight controls, trip functions, that sort of thing. You've got Cadillac's Q system, gives you this sort of pop-up nav screen here. Not a giant fan of the way it operates, but it's fine. It is touch screen, so you can do it that way or hit some of those random buttons here to get where you're going. I do like that they give you a proper volume and tuning knob, like something out of a 58 Cadillac. You have the analog clock there that all luxury cars must have, and everything nice and proper. There's your climate control stuff, of course. Down here, this gives you sort of direct access buttons, so you don't always have to use the touch screen. Here you can see our cool seats. I'm going to put those on. This guy at the dealer put in a little K40 radar detector, which is a very smart move in this car, because if you downshift 1 gear, you know, you have a fantastic treat. If you downshift 2, holy hell, hold on. You can be at triple digit, you know, go directly to jail speeds in no time at all. Here's that fantastic 6-speed manual gearbox. It's an absolute joy to see that in this car. Alcantara, nice to the touch, lovely to grip. Up here you've got your OnStar rear view mirror. You've got the big sunroof, which, you know, again, I like it. Obviously it adds weight to the car, but, you know, if you don't want that, go buy a Lotus. I mean, this is not specifically for insane driving only. It's sort of an expression of automotive insanity. And if there's anything better than automotive insanity, I mean, this car could win over environmentalists. It gets like a combined 14 miles to the gallon. I mean, it gets atrocious fuel mileage. And the way it beckons you to drive it will only make that worse. And I don't know, I just defy, you know, some PETA guy to get in this thing, Sierra Club guy, and not have the time of his life. You know, he's just not going to be able to hate it after he's driving it. See a rear camera there, that's a nice feature. You're gonna let this thing get up to temp a little bit. Oh God, so you know, from this point forward, from the seats forward, you could be in any CTS-V. You don't really notice that there's a wagon portion behind you, at least until you have to go to the grocery store. Try and get out of the sun here. You can see the lovely job our detailer did on the windshield. He's on vacation for a week. He came back like a zombie. You know, you walked in at 8:05 and, you know, hey there, how you doing? Hello, hello. I mean, for the love of God. He's 25. They act like they're Mr. Magoo. They've got all these ailments. Oh God, snowflakes. Anyway, driving this car, it has Cadillac's magnetic ride control, made by Delphi, which is one of the finest suspensions that you can buy. In fact, Ferrari's using it now, Aston Martin, quite a few makers. And instead of using traditional valves and such in the transmission, in the fluid for dampening, it uses a weird sort of electromagnetic fluid that can be used to fill in little gaps in the channels and whatnot instantaneously. So by using this controlled magnetic flow, it can stiffen the suspension instantly. It can make adjustments to any one of the 4 corners at any time. It works a lot like Mercedes-Benz ABC Sport, except better. better, faster, and far more reliably. So kudos to Cadillac and Stabilitrack for that one. Now, if I press this twice, I'm going to get... There it is. That's competitive mode. What that means is that the traction control is off. I can raise holy hell, do donuts in the Walmart parking lot, and essentially have the time of my life. So we got a suspension setting over here somewhere too. I just saw, yeah, here it is. So there we go. We're in sport mode now, so that's going to stiffen up the springs and the dampeners, and make this thing a lot more like something you want to take around Sebring. So one of the quickest times that I saw when I was looking this car up, and you know, obviously I've been in love with it for years, it might have been Car and Driver Motor Trend, got a 3.9 to 60 and a 12.2 at 115 quarter mile, which is insane. Oh my God, what a feeling. I mean, you hammer this thing and all hell breaks loose. That LS motor just explodes with rage. I mean, this thing has enough torque for this car and the, you know, the two up ahead of me. I mean, it is just an absolute monster. God, I want to do that again, but I probably alerted the police. Let's see if we can make another U-turn. I mean, driving it is just sort of indescribable. I mean, here you are in the family Truckster. You've got what could be 580 horse under the hood. There was some allusion to that in this final year of production. There was sort of a nod, nod, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, that they put the full 580 horse unit out of the ZL1. And even if they didn't, it does not matter. Tire spin from a rolling start, catching second. Oh, and the sound. And this thing will run all the way up to 190 miles an hour, basically the same top speed as a 911 of the same vintage and probably today. And just do everything so perfectly. I mean, you can move it through traffic like a absolute sledgehammer. You can, you know, bring it out on the Autobahn. You can take it to the track. You can take it to the grocery store. It's such a shame that Americans gave up the wagon. I mean, you go to Europe, they're all over the place. People love wagons there. Here, they got to sit up high. They need the SUV. Rubbish. You guys do not know what you're missing. We have got to get Americans back into the station wagon. The fact that there are only 500 or so of these things is a sin. There should be everywhere. I mean, it's such a great machine. Oh, God. Anyway, I'm going to stop being a traffic menace before some police officer shows up to explain to me what I'm doing wrong, and go park it and just dream about, you know, maybe I can put the money together in the bank, get this thing in my garage. Oh God, how many V wagons with a manual am I going to come across? I think only 25% of them were manuals, but there it is. I mean, what to me is, you know, if you want, in the modern era, the ultimate car guy car, this is it. I mean, you can talk about Lamborghini Aventadors. This has more torque. You can talk about Corvettes. This thing can actually fit a set of golf clubs in it. This is, to me, just the ultimate machine. And God bless whatever half-wit lunatic at Cadillac decided to put it together. God bless them. Thank you very much for having a look. We appreciate it. We'll see you with the next one. Take care.